We've now spent a lot of time talking about the differences between a schema migration and a data migration. But just talking about this stuff really isn't enough. You've got to actually kind of walk through this process yourself to understand what is going on and some of the challenges that come up along the way. And so that's what we're going to be doing in the remainder of this section. All right, so here's what we are going to do. In this video and the next one, we're going to do a little bit of setup. We're going to first write out a migration to add an initial version of our post table. This initial version of the post table will have the latitude and longitude columns inside of it. Then, in the next video, we're going to create a very small web application. This web application is going to allow users to just view all the different posts inside of our database and create new posts as well. So that is to kind of just get ourselves set up and imagine that that is some kind of running web application that we want to make some changes to. Once we do all that initial setup, we'll then go through this 5-step flow. So we will add in a location column using a migration. We'll then make a new version, or essentially make a little changes to this web application. We'll then write out a script to copy those values around. We'll then make another change to that web application, and then finally write one more migration. Now, this little web application we are going to be building is going to be written entirely in JavaScript. If you do not want to write JavaScript, again, that is totally okay. The web app itself, we're going to build entirely inside of one video. So if you want to, you can skip that video without any issue whatsoever. I will give you all the code that you need to run that little web application. So if you want to skip all the web app stuff because you don't want to write JavaScript, again, no problem whatsoever. Okay, so now that we understand what we're trying to do here, let's begin right away by writing out a migration to create an initial version of this post table. So to create a migration, once again, we will go back over to our terminal. Inside of our project directory, we can run npm run migrate, create, and then a name for our migration. I'm going to call our migration add posts table. Okay, so it looks like the migration was created. Let's open up that file and implement the up and down functions right away. So inside my editor, here's migrations. There's the new file we just generated. Let's define the up function first. For up, we'll do a pgm.sql, then a multi-line string, which remember is written out using backticks. We'll then put in here create table posts. We'll give it an ID, a URL, and then a latitude and a longitude, like so. We're not really going to use the URL column inside of here at all. I'm just putting it in to say, hey, yeah, this is a table of posts. Let's make sure that we also put the down function together. That will be pgm SQL, and remember, we're going to do the exact opposite of whatever we did inside of the up step. So in this case, we'll do a drop table posts. Okay, so that looks good. So I'm going to save this. And then let's immediately go back over to our terminal and run this migration. So back at our terminal. As a quick reminder, you're going to make sure you define one of these environment variables before you run the npm run migrate command. So if you're on Mac OS, you'll do database URL, blah, blah, blah. Here's git bash, cmd, PowerShell, and so on. So in my case, I'm going to take that command right there. Go back over to my terminal. I'm going to make sure I update that username to whatever my username is. In this case, it is SG. And then I will run the migration. Cool, so it looks like I just created that table of posts. I should now be able to go over to pgadmin and take a look at my social network database. If I right-click on it and refresh, I can then go down to schemas, tables, and I will see my post table that was just created right there. Looks good. Okay, so we've got step 1 complete. So now we're going to take a brief pause. When we come back in the next video, we're going to start to create this web application. As a reminder, totally optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to.